system. How does he do that? Not be jittery behind that makeshift offensive line? Well, he says you have to take what the defense gives you. Take some shots down the field when they are available, but mostly get that ball out fast. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thank you. We have found out a few things here today. A, the public address system really works here in Philadelphia at this stadium. It's been ear-splittingly loud, and we also know the Giants have lost. And so they now have a record of 6-4. They have a bye week next week, as we said a moment ago. And so whether you're Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys 3-5, or you're Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles, and Andy Reid, who's under fire, 3-5, what an opportunity here. Despite the record, despite the time in the season, despite the schedule ahead, which is, by the way, very favorable for the Dallas Cowboys and, for the most part, to the Philadelphia Eagles the second half of the season. Glad you're with us as the Eagles will start with a football. And Boykin, the rookie, from about 2 yards deep in the end zone, takes it out to the 18-yard line. Alex Albright on the stop, and we will check in with Michael Vick. And this Eagles offense in Troy, they have redefined the phrase makeshift for this offensive line. They're trying to find guys seemingly every day to protect Michael Vick.
It's been a real struggle throughout this season, as we know, and it really showed itself last Monday night at New Orleans. Michael Vick was sacked 7 times in that game and hit numerous other times.
They fake the handoff to McCoy, drop it off to Selleck. And the big tight end with a nice play to start the day. As Selleck, number 87, is out near the 35, a 16-yard completion and run, and he went right through Sensabaugh.
Yeah, Gerald Sensabaugh, he's in a great position to be able to make a tackle on Brent Selleck. So much made of the fact that the Eagles have struggled with their tackling here in recent weeks, but the Cowboys come out on his first possession and fail to make a key stop.
Two tight ends in the formation. Pass is caught. That's Jackson. Spins out of bounds near another first down. They're going to mark him with a gain of 9. Brandon Carr is out there defending. And let's look at this offensive line. It is nothing like they thought it would be at this point in the season when they started 2012. There are changes all over.
A lot of changes. Evan Mathis is the only guy coming into the season who is still the starter. And then, of course, Demetrius Bell came in last week for Todd Harriman's at right tackle. He is starting on the left side today. And then they move King Dunlap to the right tackle position.
Vick. Time runs out, and he throws it away in the direction of Havili, the fullback. And Vick ends up on the ground. He is holding his left arm a bit as he gets up.
You're going to see the game up front defensively for the Cowboys. They just run a simple defensive end twist with the outside linebacker, and Evan Mathis, who we were just talking about, fails to recognize it. He doesn't come off of his man and pick up DeMarcus Ware, and he has a free rush.
He held that left elbow. He landed on it when he was knocked down, and no quarterback's been knocked down more this season than Vick. Cowboys came across early. They do throw a flag and a first down pickup by McCoy anyway. Jason Hatcher came across before the snap, and it's a first down either way you look at it.
Well, the Cowboys come into this game as one of the most penalized teams in football.
Defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Let's go back to that pressure by Ware and Vick, who landed on that left elbow. And he cradled it immediately as he sat up. He has been battered and bruised. On first down, it's McCoy. Nice gain on first down as he carries it inside the 45. A gain of 6. And we'll look at this defense for the Cowboys, which is the 5th-rated defense, and they need a lot out of Ratliff up front in the middle. And you know DeMarcus Ware's been licking his chops all week. Here's McCoy again, dancing a bit. Picked up only one. Bruce Carter on the stop, so 3rd and short coming up.
Well, we had a chance, Joe, yesterday to talk with Michael Vick, and as you said, he has been hit a lot. And, you kind of wonder just how a guy's body is going to be able to hold up, with the kind of punishment that he has taken. Some of that has been because of him not getting the ball out of his hands. But I think it's real important in this game, and they're doing a nice job here on this first possession to start fast and him have a lot of good things happen for him.
Hatcher did it again.
Number 97, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That seems to happen, Troy, for this Dallas Cowboys team. Offensive line, defensive line, week after week after week.
Well, right now, I believe Jason Garrett has got to be thinking back to last Monday night at the end of that game, or Sunday night against the Atlanta Falcons, when they needed a stop defensively. They couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. We've seen 2 penalties now extend this drive.
On first down, handoff is to McCoy, and he gets knocked down. I think it was the body of Evan Mathis, the left guard, who was pushed back in his way, and a loss of 1.
Well, I know coming into this game, Philadelphia, there's certainly an offense that likes to get the ball down the field, but because of the way that Dallas has played, for the most part, they're not pressing on the outside as much with their corners. Andy Reid has wanted to get Michael Vick going, so they're trying to throw some of the intermediate stuff, the underneath things, and get him into a rhythm before they start trying to get the ball down the field.
They fake it to Brown, throw it to Jackson, room to run. And Deshaun Jackson still going. Inside the 20. And forced out by Carr inside the 10. And one of the biggest home run hitters in the NFL is good for 32.
Well, simple wide receiver screen, and you're going to see 2 missed tackles right at the start. I mean, he's going to pick up some yardage, but 2 guys right there fail to make a play. DeMarcus Ware is one of them, and then Brandon Carr comes over at the end. He takes a bad angle, and Deshaun Jackson able to get even more yardage on it, and you see that Jackson almost had that ball stripped.
Ware almost knocked it out. Danny McCray, the safety, had a bad angle too, and it's a 1st and goal from the 7. McCoy. Selleck lost his helmet, and McCoy is brought down inches outside the 5, a gain of 2. Josh Brent was there to stuff it, and there's already blood on the jersey of Brent Selleck, who made that initial catch to start this drive.
You see Brent Selleck there, 87. The helmet just comes off. I comment on it. It's hard to imagine a helmet coming off that easily, but it certainly did with Brent Selleck.
The red zone has been such a problem for the Eagles. 2nd and goal. Vick steps up and dives maybe inside the 3. Victor Butler on the stop. This is the 30th ranked red zone offense in the NFL. That's what they did last week against the Saints, but what has crushed them, 6 red zone turnovers. And they've only been 39% on goal-to-goal scoring touchdowns. That is by far the worst in the NFL. They're goal-to-goal here, 3rd and goal. Vick. Wow, what a catch! Touchdown! Riley Cooper has his first of the year.
What a remarkable catch. Riley Cooper goes up with one arm. Pretty good coverage there, too. And he hauls it in with one arm, and then it's a matter of whether or not he gets his feet in. One foot is down, too. It looks to me, Joe, like he had both feet down and possession of the ball as well.
Looked that way to me as well. They're going to look at it, obviously a scoring play, and make sure. And it is good. Makes it 7-0, exactly what the Eagles needed. Their first opening drive points of the season. Number 7 gets 7 to Riley Cooper. 7-0 Eagles.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
How about Riley Cooper, just his 3rd catch of the season?
Yeah, Riley missed the first 5 games of the season, and he's a big target. At 6'3", over 220 pounds, and so he's a guy they like down in that area, and that was a magnificent catch on his part.
Yeah, he's really only the only big wide receiver they have for the red zone, and he hauled it in. A thing of beauty. Dunbar will take a knee. The drive for the Cowboys down 7-0 will start at the 20. Vick flipped it. Cooper hauled it in. 7-0 Eagles.
Sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
Let's see how the Cowboys answer with their first possession. They start on the ground with Felix Jones and a nice run on first down of 4. We look at Tony Romo, who has the 13 interceptions, the 2 fumbles lost. A Dallas team that's given the ball away 19 times, tied for the 2nd most in the NFL.
Yeah, when you see those 13 interceptions by Tony Romo, you have to remember that 9 of those came in 2 games. So other than those 2 games, he's not had a lot of interceptions in every game, as the 13 would imply.
He's coming off an interception-free game. There's Witten. And you and I did Jason Witten and the Cowboys against Tampa Bay Week 3. All anybody was talking about, what's happened to Jason Witten. He had the lacerated spleen. He had all the drops. He's been a machine ever since. And there's the offensive line protecting Tony Romo.
And the Cowboys have had their own issues along that offensive line. They've gotten a little better. They've had some problems there at the right tackle position with Doug Free. But some of the interior guys have picked up their play here in recent weeks.
3rd down and 1. Romo rolls and finds his man Austin for a first down. Take a look at the defense for Philadelphia. They check in 15th overall. Lately, they've struggled stopping the run. Something they were very good with earlier in the season. They start that rookie Fletcher Cox up front. And people wonder if Michael Kendricks has hit that rookie wall. He's going to have his hands full today trying to cover Jason Witten.
Well, I really think, Joe, when you look at the Eagles, they've not been able to get after the quarterback with sacks. If they're going to win this game today, I think that's going to have to change. They're going to have to be able to get pressure on Tony Romo.
False start.
False start, number 68, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
They get Doug Free. That is his 7th false start of the season. And what did Jason Garrett tell you about Doug Free? He's got to get going.
Well, they got to get him going. There's no doubt. And last week they did a much better job of protecting Romo. They just have not been able to get that running game going. It's been several weeks. DeMarco Murray missing his 4th straight game. And the last time he played was really the last time the Cowboys have run the ball effectively. That was against the Baltimore Ravens.
On 1st and 15, handoff is to Jones. And a nice run on 1st and 15. He got 13. Kurt Coleman on the stop for Philadelphia.
Well, Tyron Smith, the left tackle, who was the right tackle last year, you're going to see him come up here, and then he's going to go up to the 2nd level. He helps out with Nate Livings there at left guard, and then he comes up to the linebacker level. That's a great job of combination blocking by Tyron Smith and giving Felix Jones a nice hole to run.
So from 1st and 15 to 2nd and 2. They fake the toss, hand to Vickers, a fullback. And Lawrence Vickers takes it down inside the 45. And it's been a 4-game slide for this Philly defense stopping the run. And so far, it's been a good opening possession for Dallas running it against the Eagles.
Well, Lawrence Vickers with just his 2nd carry of the season. No wonder he was so open. They weren't expecting him to get the ball.
Back-to-back 13-yard runs. One by Jones, one by Vickers. Now it's Dunbar at a tailback. And he gets it on a toss. Little guy, he can scoot. and cuts it down inside the 40 to the 38. Let's go for a game break. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Joe, thanks. Rams at the 49ers. San Fran, known for its defense, hasn't allowed a touchdown for the last 5 games until right there. At Sam Bradford to the rookie Brian Quick out of Appalachian State, 36 yards in St. Louis. An early lead at Candlestick, 7-0. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Rams coming off their bye week, trying to work the rookie Quick into their offense a bit more. Good start there. 2nd and 5. Handoff to Dunbar. He's got some room and now cuts upfield. As that room ran out, Asamoah was the first one there. He stopped him initially. A gain of 3, 3rd and short coming up.
Try bringing John Phillips, the tight end, to block and try to keep really the carry inside of that block, but they were able to get outside contained. Still weren't able to get much out of that run.
Cowboys are right on the edge of field goal range. It's 3rd down and 2. Four-man rush. Pass is high but caught. Beasley, 1st down. And Cole Beasley, Troy, is a guy that Romo warms up with before every game, and he'd like to work him more and more into this Cowboy offense.
Well, he's a quick guy. You know, when he gets in that slot position, he's very difficult to cover. Even if you play him inside and out defensively, he's got a pretty good knack for finding where the hole is, and a guy who really hasn't gotten a lot of opportunity, but he may very well here in this game.
A couple of 3rd down conversions on this drive. Romo, time, pass, caught. That's Whitten. The all-time Cowboy leader in career receptions is good for 7.
Well, I can assure you of one thing. If they're going to give Jason Witten this route and play him inside technique and allow him to run that corner route, they will take it all day. 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants, Jason Witten had 17 catches in that game and could have had 30 if they'd have kept throwing it to him, but 15 or 16 of them were on that same route.
2nd down and 2. Hand off to Jones. And Felix Jones is forward for a 1st down. Hakeem Jordan on the stop, and this has been a very good answer by the Cowboys, getting it down now just outside the red zone, down 7-0.
Yeah, it has been. I like what Jason Garrett has done with his play calling. I mean, they've mixed it up. They've been able to maintain balance, and you have to do that against this Eagles team. Even though they have not done a good job throughout this season of getting after the quarterback, Jason Garrett certainly knows that they're capable. Last year with essentially the same guys, they led the league in sacks.
Delayed handoff to Felix Jones, barely got it to him. And Felix Jones is knocked down right at the marker, depends on the spot. D'Amico Ryans on the tackle, and the Cowboys are inside the red zone. It's 2nd down and less than 1.
You see Ryan Cook, he gets up to the linebacker level, and that move right there was really a good job by Felix Jones because it helps set that block up by number 63. You see the linebacker there, D'Amico Ryans. He's not sure which way Felix Jones is going to go. He's got a 2-way break, and because he gave him the stick to his left, it helps set that block for Ryan Cook. And Felix Jones is able to get a little more out of it.
Look at you getting all technical over there. Just break it down. Here's Jones, and he is forward for a 1st down. And the Cowboys now, on their first possession, have run the ball for over 50 yards. Something, well, heck, they came in averaging just over 50 over the last 3 games.
Well, the problem that they've had, Joe, as we know, they've turned the ball over, and then like the Eagles, they have not come away with enough touchdowns when they've gotten down in this area. You know, there's been talk about maybe trying to move Romo a little bit within the pocket and try to free somebody up down the field so they can get the ball into the end zone for a completion and a touchdown.
Jones out of the backfield. Smith misses a block. Eagles miss a couple of tackles. Touchdown. And this crowd lets the Eagles defense hear it for more missed tackles. by this defensive group, and there's Asamoah right in the middle of that problem again.
There's 3 or 4 missed tackles right there. Nate Allen has the first shot at it. Asamoah has to make that play, and he's coming off a game to where he did not tackle well at all, and this team overall did not, and that's why they're able to get the touchdown to Felix Jones.
That's Felix's first touchdown reception of the year.
Should have been stopped for no gain.
And this to tie it. So 2 desperate teams coming into this game. Philadelphia went right down the field and scored a touchdown. And mainly on the ground, the Cowboys answer. It's a touchdown pass for Tony Romo, and we're tied at 7.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. By K Jewelers, every kiss begins with K. And by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
Ben Franklin Parkway here in this city of Philadelphia, and while the fans packed into the stadium were excited to watch the Eagles go down and score their first opening possession drive points of the season, then they watch their defense on their second defensive coordinator of the season give up 7 the other way. And so they've got questions on the offensive line, but they've got a ton of questions defensively. More missed tackles. We're tied at 7. Philly with the ball. It is America's game of the week. It is this great rivalry. So many great faces and terrific players in the history of this league that have banged heads as the Eagles and Cowboys have met over the years. It's a 7-7 game. Starting at the 20, it's McCoy. We saw Ben Smith hit you in that little video piece. You told me last night you've never been hit. Look at that. Ben Smith, just how far did you fly?
Well, look at the safety comes in at the end of this, and I'm out of bounds, and that wasn't a penalty.
No?
No. It was a little different then. They didn't have the protection on the quarterbacks quite like they do now.
Wonder why your eyes roll all the time they throw these flags on hits on quarterbacks. Born too soon. 2nd down and 4. Vic. Macklin can't hang on. And he got dumped by Charlie Pepper. And Macklin can't get up. Pepper inactive the first 2 games after they added him to the roster, a former Green Bay Packer. He's from Plano, Texas, and he took care of Jeremy Macklin. So they check on Jeremy. 3rd down for the Eagles when we come back. Jeremy Macklin popped up and walked off the field. Appears to be okay as they look at him and talk to him on the sideline. It's 3rd down and 4. Tie game under a minute and a half left in the opening quarter. Vic rolling to his right, and he is brought down. Looked like just a straight quarterback run. Anthony Spencer on the stop. No gain. It's 4th down, and the crowd didn't like that call.
Yeah, I didn't either. It didn't look good right from the start, really. I mean, if you're going to try to do that, you certainly have to then be able to block Anthony Spencer, and they turned him completely loose. Michael Vick had no opportunity whatsoever. You know, really offensively, the Eagles have come into this game on the first 2 possessions and have done what they had hoped to do. Of course, they came away with a touchdown on the first drive, and the ball to Jeremy Macklin, I don't know what the injury is or how badly he is shook up, but that's a ball that he should have caught.
Goes down as a running play, no sack. McBriar, the former Dallas Cowboy, hits it. Harris from just outside the 30 to the near sideline, and he is knocked down at the 35 by Nate Allen. 4 yards on the return. Half a minute to go, opening quarter. Cowboys with the football in a tie game in Philadelphia. Late in the day, it is week 10 around the NFL. We look at some of the early game headliners. Drew Brees had a big day, and the Saints are right back in it. They're a game under 500. They're at Oakland next week. Andy Dalton and the Bengals just picked apart the Giants. There's his day. 4 touchdown passes, and Adrian Peterson and the Vikings beat Detroit in Minnesota.
Well, the Giants now having lost 2 in a row and not looking good really at all. And as bad as these two teams here have played through the first half of the season, as we said coming in, they're right back in it, whoever wins this.
Romo floats it for Austin. Had him open, but led him too much. 2nd and 10, and Romo's looking for a flag somewhere for a hold.
Well, Trent Cole is able to get some pressure on Romo. They're trying to take a shot down the field, and that's something that this offense has lacked. They've just not been able to get the shots and make the plays in the passing game, and they may not have many more opportunities to a guy with Miles Austin looking like he's maybe re-injured that hamstring that has been a problem for him throughout this season.
Dunbar gets it. And Dunbar takes it out to the 40. Gain of 5, and that could be it, and will be it for the first quarter. These are two teams that had combined to score only 27 first quarter points all season. Each team scored in their first offensive possession of this one, a big one in the NFC East. It's America's Game of the Week. Cowboys and Eagles tied at 7. Back after this from your local Fox station. We saw Miles Austin limp away moments ago. He's back in the huddle on 3rd down and 5 as we start the second quarter. You look at the first quarter statistics. Cowboys have been good on the ground. We'll see what they do on 3rd and 5 as they check Cole Beasley, a free agent from SMU, the rookie, just 5'8", 177, into the lineup. In the slot at the top.
Tony's going to like that matchup with Cole Beasley. There's no help over the top with him.
Romo, sideline. Bryant, overthrow. And it's 4th down.
You know, 3rd and 5 there, and the Eagles decide that they're going to just match up one-on-one across the board. And, you know, Romo then wanted to take a shot to Des Bryant. He's their big receiver, and see if he can maybe beat a guy and make a play. And good job defensively there by Philadelphia getting off the field.
For Dallas, only their 14th 3 and out all season. 3rd fewest in the NFL in that category coming into the day as Mormon hits it. With Johnson waiting for it. And DeMaris hauls it in on a fair catch after a 42-yard punt. Let's go for an update as the Eagles offense comes back onto the field on Jeremy Maclin. Here's Pam.
That's right, Joe. Jeremy Maclin, he actually underwent a concussion test while he was on the sideline, but they don't believe that's what it is. They've taken him in to take a look at his neck, and he just run right past me, so he's back.
He's back on the sideline. We'll see if he gets back on the field. 1st and 10, Philadelphia tied at 7. Bryce Brown gets it. And he is ripped to the ground by Carter. Bruce Carter, who has taken over the communication defensively with the absence and the injury to Sean Lee, and they really like this 2nd-year linebacker out of North Carolina.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, you can see his play really improve each and every week. He's a really dynamic player. He's very explosive. He's strong. He's fast. And, you know, Rob Ryan told us several weeks ago that he thought Bruce Carter was further along at this stage of his career than Sean Lee was at the same stage. And that's saying a lot because Sean Lee is held in the highest regard in this organization.
Macklin's back out there. They set up a screen for McCoy. And LaShawn McCoy is out of bounds with a Philadelphia 1st down.
The Eagles like the screenplay. You're going to see Evan Mathis, who he comes out off of this, and he has to sustain that block for a while. You're going to see the job. He just stays with Hatcher, and it's that block that then allows the big gain and also good blocking on the outside against defensive back Morris Claiborne.
With the play clock winding down, trying to change the play at the line. Timeout, Philadelphia. 1st and 10 for the Eagles when we come back. Opening minutes, second quarter.
Game is sponsored by Silver Linings Playbook, starring Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, in theaters November 21st. By Pepsi, crack open a Pepsi and live for now. And by Ford and the Go Further with Ford night.
Eagles had to take a timeout. First timeout taken by either side. 1st and 10 for Philadelphia at their own 29. Vick takes off like a designed quarterback draw, and Vick gains 3.
Well, the Eagles, they've done a pretty good job themselves. Now, that was a designed run, as you said, but they've done a pretty good job of maintaining some balance with the play calling by Marty Morningwig also. And, you know, Vick has gotten off to a good start. They've thrown the ball underneath for the most part, and they've had nice run after the catch.
DeMarcus Ware has had pressure once. As Vick finds Avant, and there's Carter. He can really cover for a big linebacker, Bruce Carter, a guy who tore his ACL in his final college game, and he has worked his way back. He can run. 3rd down and 7.
Anytime you play the Dallas Cowboys, you've got to be able to control DeMarcus Ware. They got 2 guys on him, chipping on him, and actually Michael Vick could have stayed in the pocket. It was good protection inside and gotten the ball down the field and not have to settle for an underneath throw.
Penalty flag flies. Looks like it's on Dallas, and Vick is going to dive forward too short for a first down, but it appears a free 5 yards is coming on the 3rd offside against this Dallas defense.
Yeah, it sure is, and I'm not
offside,
sure that...
Number 24, defense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
I'm not real sure that Michael Vick knew. It was Morris Claiborne. He's anticipating the snap, and that's one of the things that these corners for the Cowboys will do. They'll occasionally try to come up and jam the receiver. They don't do it all the time. And so as a receiver, you're unsure as to whether or not when that guy's pressed, if he's going to try to jam you or if he's going to turn and bail. That time they got Claiborne offsides. I don't know that Vick knew it. Otherwise, he probably takes a shot down the field knowing he had a free play.
Blitz coming. Pass is out of the reach of LaShawn McCoy. And it was the former Eagle, Ernie Sims, who came through untouched that forced the early throw.
This should never happen, and it happened with regularity last week. Watch Dennis Kelly, the right guard, who's taken over for Danny Watkins. He has got to squeeze this and cannot allow Ernie Sims a free run right up the gut on Michael Vick. Now, having said that, you know, Vick's a good enough athlete and a good enough player. You can deliver that throw where it's complete, but he should never have had to get the ball out that quickly. Cowboys bust coverage, but because Kelly doesn't, they call that a gap block, because he doesn't do that, Vick has to get it out sooner than he wanted.
McBriar to hit it. And he hits a beauty. Maybe too good. It is. Cowboys will start at the 20 in a 7-7 game. 11:40 left. First half. Vick had a chance. Ernie Sims forced the quick throw. How about this development? Either on the running play on that free 3rd down or with the pressure by Ernie Sims falling on top of Vick at the end of the play. He's got to leave. And they're going to check him in the locker room as Nick Foles, the rookie quarterback, starts to warm up on the sideline. Here's Felix Jones, good for 2. Here's the play before. This is on the free 3rd down run as Ratliff falls down on the back of Michael Vick, who falls on the football. And then there was pressure at the end on that blitz by Ernie Sims. And so we may see the NFL debut regular season of Nick Foles.
It looked like Michael Vick might have even hit his helmet, the back of his head on the ground at the end of that last third down play with Ernie Sims.
Romo just shovels it forward and somehow gets it to Felix Jones for a positive play on second down. That was good for 4. Here is the eventual third down blitz, and right at the end of it,
yeah, Ernie Sims is trying to hold him up, but right at the end of that, as he's going to the ground, you see his helmet snap into the turf. We'll find out exactly what it is that they're checking on Michael Vick, but it looked to have happened on one of those 2 plays.
Third down and 4 for Dallas. Romo slides to his left and finds Vickers at fullback. Absolutely left alone, and Lawrence Vickers, who had only 4 catches all season coming in, is good for 17.
Well, it's man coverage underneath. They're trying to work Miles Austin. Tony Romo's waiting on him to win on the route. He's unable to, but Lawrence Vickers comes underneath out of the backfield. He's helping in protection, and he's able to leak through the offensive line, and Romo finds him.
This is Jones out of the backfield. Felix, he's looked pretty good here today. Makes a couple of guys miss, and Felix Jones takes it out to midfield, good for 7.
I think one of the things that helped Felix Jones, or at least it seemed to last week, is they started feeding the ball to Lance Dunbar a little bit more. Dunbar had a season-high 8 carries in last week's game, and Felix's production, although still not good enough, was better than it had been, and they're using Dunbar a little bit more in this game also.
Here is Dunbar, and he breaks loose for a first down, and it was a tackle by Cole that saved a huge play. First down Dallas. This week, Fox College Saturday begins with a Pac-12 showdown between crosstown rivals. 19th ranked USC takes on UCLA. Then 12th ranked Oklahoma squares off against West Virginia. Coverage of Fox College football begins Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. First down at the 45, play action. Pass is tipped and incomplete. Looked like Landry may have gotten his hand on it, and it hit off the helmet of Ryans. 2nd and 10. The one thing the Cowboys haven't had, as you look at the throw by Romo, and it was Landry who got his arms up, has been balance offensively, and they've come in with the ability, even without DeMarco Murray, to run it. Felix Jones over 50 yards running it and catching it so far, and their 50-50 run pass.
Well, that play action stuff will open up too, and you give yourself then some opportunities down the field, and that's something that Tony Romo desperately wants.
Have to hurry to get it away, and Romo gets sacked. Kendricks in there, Brandon Graham as well, and a loss of 5.
Well, Doug Freese at right tackle, he hesitates just a minute, and it allows Brandon Graham then to come off the edge, relatively untouched. By the time Free is able to come back off of the look on the inside, Brandon Graham's just too quick.
For Michael Kendricks, that's his first NFL sack. A 3rd and 15 coming up. Romo goes down. A loss of 7, and Romo was just engulfed by this defensive front.
You see they get beat inside, but they've got safeties deep, and so you've got coverage playing over the top. You got man coverage underneath. It's very hard to shake that free as a wide receiver, and then the left guard, Nate Livings, gets beat. And pressure right in the face then of Tony Romo.
Colin Jenkins was there. He wasn't alone. The rookie Fletcher Cox. Here's a shank off the foot of Mormon. But it takes a decent Cowboy bounce, and the Eagles will have it. And when we come back, news on Michael Vick. This crowd salutes the defense and now salutes Nick Foles coming into the ball game. The rookie will take over, tied at 7.
Is sponsored by the Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here.
6'6" rookie Nick Foles is into the game. He had a great preseason. That's when these fans wondered what might be. And as Vick has struggled during the season, they've called for Nick Foles. Will they get him? Had a 110 quarterback rating in the preseason. Out of Arizona, he'll start his day with a handoff. That's McCoy doing all he can, and LaShawn McCoy first met by DeMarcus Ware, no gain. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Michael Vick is being evaluated in the locker room. They're checking him for a concussion. Now, his helmet came up and hit him in the eye, and he lost some vision as well. We'll let you know if we find out more to update you. Back to you.
All right, so Vick is out. They're checking him for the concussion, and Nick Foles, who was a third-round steal, in the words of Marty Mornhinweg, his offensive coordinator, throws to McCoy out of the backfield, and McCoy on second down gets 5. Foles finished his career at Arizona as the Wildcats' all-time leader in yardage, touchdowns, attempts, completions. They got him in the 3rd round, and there are his numbers as a Wildcat.
Well, things just got a whole lot more interesting for offensive coordinator Marty Mornhinweg as far as how he's going to call this game with a young rookie quarterback who's never played. And trying to protect him. They come out on first down, run the ball, second down, a quick screen to the outside.
On 3rd down, Foles throws, and he hits his receiver in the head of Avant, and he comes away limping. Foles couldn't have thrown it any better. Avant didn't get his head around.
Well, Avant came out of his route stumbling, as you're going to see. I mean, as he's starting to come out of that route, he stumbles, and that's why he wasn't prepared to have the ball on him. That's great anticipation by Nick Foles. I mean, the first throw of his NFL career as far as being down the field. Second down, of course, he threw the swing route, but the first real throw down the field and shows great anticipation of cutting it loose.
The punt by McBride. Line drive. Harris from inside the 30. A little room to run. Anderson can't bring him down, but eventually the tackle is made by Akeem Jordan. 6 yards on the return. So the rookie is in the lineup for the Eagles. Romo, the vet, back into the game for Dallas, tied at 7. So with drama on the other side of the ball, with Nick Foles taking over for Michael Vick, they check him for a concussion. Foles going to that makeshift offensive line, pleading for protection.
I love it. You know, I mean, he's a young player. He's got a lot on his mind, but you're never too young to know that you shouldn't go over and give the big guys up front a little encouragement. That's pretty impressive for the young guy.
Now Jason Avant is taken off the field. They'll look at him. Getting crowded in that locker room. Starting at the 32. Romo. Down the field's got Bryant. Des Bryant stays in bounds, and he's down inside the 20. Working on Dominique Rodgers, Cromartie, and Kurt Coleman. That one good for 49.
Double move on the outside. You see Cromartie, he jumps it, and it allows then Des Bryant just a clear path up the sideline. Press coverage on the outside, double move. Romo has time, and they get what has really been a rare deep ball completed.
A Philadelphia defense that came in with only 11 sacks all year.
180!
They've got 2 so far, but Romo had protection there. Dunbar, right side, got the edge, and on first down, picks up 3. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Joe, just a couple of update on some injuries. Michael Vick, he does have a concussion, and he obviously will not come back. Wide receiver Jason Avant has a hamstring. He is doubtful. Back to you.
All right, so now one of the weapons on the outside, Avant, is lost to the rookie Foles, and the rest of the game belongs to number 9. That's when Philly's got the ball. Now Troy circles Des Bryant. Here's Witten on a tight end screen. And Witten is going to take it just outside the 11. Got 4, 3rd and short coming up. Nate Allen on the stop for Philadelphia. Under 5 to play in the first half, and what's turned into a pretty fun game.
Yeah, it has. You know, I mean, I like what, of course, now things that we said, they've changed on the other side of the ball for the Eagles, with Foles coming into the lineup, but I like what both of these play callers have done here in this first half.
Third down. Romo. That's Witten. A juggle and no good. Out of bounds. Could not secure the catch after stopping the momentum of the pass with his left hand.
Michael Kendricks was in coverage, and that's that out route that I was talking about a little bit earlier. They're in man coverage, and Romo had to lead him to the outside. You underthrow that one and a lot of bad things can happen, but just could not get enough separation and make a play on that.
Bailey has not missed from inside 50 yards. This one from 30. And the Cowboys have their first lead of this important game. 10-7. Welcome you inside our broadcast booth as we march toward halftime. 3:50 left in the opening half, and now the fun is going to be watching what Nick Foles can do. And if Andy Reid, the die's either been cast for Andy Reid, and this is his last year with the Eagles, or he still has a chance to remain the head coach. And in this game, he's going to ride a rookie the rest of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a small sampling, but I like what we saw there of Nick Foles. Now he's without Avant, as Pam Oliver reported, but they like this young man, as you would expect. He played well in the preseason, but there's obviously the bit of an unknown. And you know, during the season when there was a lot of talk about whether or not Michael Vick should remain the starter, one of the reasons why he did remain the starter was you never know what you're going to get with a young quarterback, but now they're going to get to find out. And someone who does not get a lot of work in practice, you know, those reps with that number 1 offense go to the starter, and that's been Michael Vick. So he's in an important ball game with limited amount of time in preparation since the preseason.
And let's say this again, it is the makeshift of all makeshift offensive lines in front of him against a Dallas defense with a guy named DeMarcus Ware who likes to go get quarterbacks. Here's a return by the rookie Boykin. He is out near the 22, 24-yard return. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, a wild situation in San Francisco after the 49ers went for it on 4th and 1. They got it, but they stopped the game for measurement, or we thought they did. The chains come out. The clock keeps running. They lose 1 minute, 12 seconds during this exchange. They review it, say, hey, no bad. They should have just kept it running. They don't get the time back. They do get a touchdown. It's 14-7, but that has shortened up the game. 1 minute, 12 seconds lost on a measurement. And to make things worse, Joe, Alex Smith just knocked out of the game with a head-to-head hit. He's being examined on the sideline.
All right, Kurt. San Francisco in the top spot in the NFC West. Foles gets hit. Hits Clay Harbor, and the tight end is wrestled to the ground by Danny McCray, good for 6, and Foles got drilled.
Yeah, he gets drilled on the outside. You got DeMarcus Ware. I'm not sure what Bryce Brown's doing. I mean, the reason he's lined up over there at the tailback position is to help out. And you want to help with your left tackle on DeMarcus Ware, who may be the best pass rusher in all of football, and that's not what you want to see happen with a young quarterback getting hit to the turf.
2nd down and 4. Play action from Foles over the middle. Pass caught. 1st down. Penalty flag flies as Brent Selleck picks up a first down, but this looks like it's against Philadelphia.
Well, Demetrius Bell, he made a nice tackle there at the left tackle
Holding.
position.
Number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
We saw DeMarcus Ware come to the outside. This time he sets him up. He comes underneath, and Bell is out of position, and so clearly a grab and hold. And an easy call to make.
That is the first Eagle penalty of the game, but it's a big one. It takes a first down off the board and presents Nick Foles with 1st and 20. They'll mark it back 3 yards, so 2nd down and 13. And Foles almost picked off as Skandrick flashed in front of Havili, the fullback, and that was almost a big turn of events as Skandrick almost took that into the end zone.
Skandrick's out here. He's reading the quarterback, and you see he's almost able to jump underneath that, and that's one of the things that you just don't get a chance to replicate when you are on the practice field running the scout team. That the reaction time for these defensive backs is a lot faster when you get into the games on Sunday.
Now 3rd down and 13. Screen for McCoy. And McCoy is dragged down well short of the first down by Danny McCray. A gain of 7. And the clock is stopped with 2:29 left as Dallas will use a timeout. And so with this break, we'll hear from Kurt Menefee about what's coming up at halftime.
Coming up on the Visa halftime, the guys will now get you all caught up on all the NFL action, including the Saints handing the Falcons their first loss, and the Bengals make the Giants look anything but super. We'll see you at halftime, where I promise we won't look anywhere near this cool.
Is Quentin Tarantino directing halftime now? Like Reservoir Dogs. So Nick Foles almost threw a killer interception. He had a first down throw that was erased by that takedown by Demetrius Bell on a hold on DeMarcus Ware. So now Dallas leading by 3 with 2.5 to go opening half. Will get it back. They have 2 timeouts remaining. McBride to punt. Slides at the 35 after a 39-yard punt. That's where the Cowboys will start with it, up by 3. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its non-profit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. Battleship New Jersey docked in the Philly Harbor. And so many servicemen and women at the game, and even on the video screen here in Philadelphia, being saluted during this game as Felix Jones has put together a terrific first half, is good for 15, and a Cowboy first down just inside Philadelphia territory.
Eagles run that wide 9 technique that Jim Washburn brought with him from Tennessee, and that opened up a huge running lane for Felix Jones.
And we're at the 2-minute warning. It'll be a first down for Dallas when we come back. 2, 3, and 5 teams meeting in Week 10. A big one in the NFC East. See the division record for these 2 clubs. Philadelphia's so good in their own division last year. They lost only once. They're 1-0 this season. Dallas is split with the Giants. On first down, Romo completes to Witten, somehow able to make that catch. Jason Witten, with the clock winding under 2 minutes, good for 9.
About as good a coverage as you can get on a guy and still have the ball completed.
4-man rush. Romo throws out of the reach of Austin with Kendricks in coverage. And Romo has to peel himself off the grass at the end of the play, 3rd and 1.
Well, they've definitely been able to get some pressure on Tony Romo here in this first half. A couple sacks, and he's had to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker than he'd like at other times.
That was a rookie, Fletcher Cox, who got in there. First-round pick out of Mississippi State. 3rd down and 1. Four-man rush. Romo throws, but short of a first down. It's Witten, and he was covered extremely well. D'Amico Ryans was in there. Trent Cole with heavy pressure. It's 4th down and 1, and the punt team will come on.
And right at the end of this play, Romo had more pressure in his face, and I thought he was going to be able to get the ball down the field. The Eagles elected to go one-on-one again, and they could have taken a shot. Of course, he's trying to pick up the first down, but could have taken a shot down the field. But once again, just really good coverage by the Eagles.
Meanwhile, Philadelphia down by 3, does not take a timeout. As Mormon, this is his strong suit. Cowboy punters do not have a touchback all season.
I don't fault him, Joe, for not taking the timeout there. I think that, you know, maybe if Michael Vick's still in the lineup, you have a little bit different approach. But with Nick Foles and, you know, under a minute to play, a 10-7 game, I think the Eagles would feel just fine, you know, going in with this kind of margin at the half.
Romo is, you have to believe, furious about the lack of protection he's getting here. The last couple of times the Cowboys have had the ball, he hasn't been able to do anything.
No, and you know, hey, this offense over the years, as I was saying a little bit earlier, they've always been near the top in terms of big pass plays down the field. And that really has not been the case this year, and they just have not been able to hold the ball long enough to allow their playmakers to get down the field like they once were able to.
Spencer may have come across early as McCoy is swallowed up in the backfield. And it is the 4th offside of this half.
Number 93, defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Rob Ryan's group is coming across early. That's 2 on Hatcher, 1 on Spencer, and 1 on Claiborne.
Well, I mean, hey, you said it coming in, Joe, that when you look at the film from last week and the way the Saints were able to get pressure on Michael Vick and the 7 sacks, I mean, if you're on that defensive line, you're thinking, man, my totals are going to go up at the end of this game, and they've been coming off the ball just a little bit too early. Good job of cadence by these quarterbacks.
Handoff is to McCoy, running laterally, left side. Sense the ball, won't let him cut upfield. This crowd wants to see Foles throw it downfield, but it appears that Andy Reid is thinking along the same lines as you, and Dallas takes a timeout.
Now this drive started on the 8-yard line, and you know, I know these fans, I know they're a little impatient around here, and they've been frustrated for a good part of this season. But it's just not smart to try to put Nick Foles in a position to lead this offense down the field and try to come away with points. It's just generally when you try doing that with a young quarterback, bad things happen.
Meanwhile, it's only 2nd down. Dallas has just 1 timeout remaining. So if Andy Reid is indeed content with the score, he can run out the clock if he wishes. See if Foles hands it off. He doesn't. Going to put it up. It's Havili, the fullback. And Havili gets popped along the sideline, hit by Brandon Carr. 27 seconds left in the half. And the big story in this first half, the concussion suffered by Michael Vick. Back-to-back plays, his head hit the grass. He went in, got checked, and indeed he has one. So it's the rookie Nick Foles making his first appearance in an NFL regular season game. It's in his hands with his club down by 3. 3rd down and 2. Now Dallas has a timeout left. They can take it here. That's what I don't understand. Why they threw it to Havili, who went out of bounds, stops the clock. So that in essence gives Dallas an extra timeout. Now they run it, don't pick it up, and Dallas will at least get a chance to get the ball back.
Yeah, just knowing the situation in this half, I didn't agree with the pass. They were actually trying to get the ball down the field. But they come to Havili, he doesn't stay in bounds, he goes out of bounds, stops the clock. But if the thought was, hey, let's be conservative, then just run the ball, run the clock out, and go in at halftime down 3 points. Now you're going to end up giving the ball back to Dallas with a chance to come away with potentially with some points of their own.
It's really an area where Romo is very good, working the sidelines, picking up chunks of yardage without a lot of time collapsing on the clock. We'll see what happens is Dallas almost got to it. Harris on the return from inside the 35. Tripped up, knocked down at the 38. 53-yard punt, 7 yards on the return. Carter almost got there to block it. Havili downfield to make the tackle. Now only 9 seconds remain, so maybe no harm, no foul. It depends on what number 9 does. Up by 3.
Well, that's right. I mean, with 9 seconds, now the Cowboys are going to have a hard time with no timeouts getting themselves in a position to come away with a field goal. But this defense should never have even had to come back out onto the field. I don't think that was handled very well by Andy Reid.
And that's it. We're going to be 10-7 at the half. With Dallas on top, 2, 3, and 5 teams. Vic is out of the ball game for the rest of the day, and a big second half coming up. 3-point game, halfway through it. Kurt Menefee is in Los Angeles. Piece of halftime is coming up. Starts right now. America's game of the week, a spirited first half, only a total of 17 points to teams that have struggled to score points so far this season. I'm Joe, that's Troy, and we've talked about it a couple times. The possessions for Nick Foles so far, 3 of them, 3 and outs. Going to be fun to see how he navigates this second half.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be important for Marty Morningwig to kind of get him going, and he showed that early, you know, on the one throw to Jason Avant, which would have been a first down, but you know, he's a big, strong guy, and he throws the ball well, and we'll get a chance to see what he's going to do, but he's going to have to get a lot of help from the others around him.
You can follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. We're glad to have you with us on Fox. A 3-point game. Cowboys start the second half with the football. The Eagles march down the field, 10 plays, their opening drive for a touchdown. Have not been able to do much since. Dunbar will take a knee and will send it down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, excuse me, Cowboys coach Jason Garrett, I asked him, how do you keep those guys on Nick Foles and confuse them? He says, we're just going to keep upping the pressure. As for those defensive penalties they were getting, he says those 4 were result of a hard count. They're doing very good job with that. As for the Eagles, wide receiver Jason Avant is out for the rest of the day with a hamstring.
So out with a bad hamstring and one less weapon for Nick Foles behind that offensive line, which has suffered one injury after another.
Kill.
But that's for later. Now it's Dallas on offense. Up by 3. Romo, quick setup and throw, and it's dropped. Well played by Asamoah as he dealt with Des Bryant. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, it sure was, because Des Bryant was really in good position to be able to make a play, but Asamoah was able to get an arm around him and get a play on the ball and keep it from being completed. And I really think that this drive's important for Philadelphia defensively, because as we said, Nick Foles, a young player getting his first playing time of his career, that they cannot afford then to get behind by many and allow him to still do the things that they want to do offensively comfortably and continue to run the football.
Kill.
2nd down and 10. Romo is sacked again. Cullen Jenkins, a loss of 4, and that is the 3rd Philadelphia Eagles sack.
That was good coverage down the field. I mean, there was really nowhere for Romo to go because of the coverage. You see, they're doubling the outside with Des Bryant. They've got a guy underneath on Jason Witten, and Colin Jenkins is able to come from one side of the defensive line all the way around and get pressure right in the face of Tony Romo.
3rd down and 14.
Todd Bowles has got to be awfully happy with the pressure and the sacks that they've been able to get in this game on Romo.
A blitz. Romo slides to buy time. Nowhere to go. And Romo gets hit for good measure at the end of it. Fletcher Cox, the rookie, with all the pressure, and Romo comes off shaking his head.
You see the safeties here. And so they give help on the inside. They're helping with Miles Austin. On the outside, it's one-on-one. And Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie is in good coverage. That's where Romo was wanting to go with the football, but just outstanding coverage on the outside and not allowing Romo a place to go with the ball.
So 3 and out. And Foles and the offense should end up with good field position. Johnson stays away from it, and it checks up at the 39. Take a break, come back. Number 9 to work on the other side now. Down by 3.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Nissan. Innovation that excites. And by Chili's.
Best starting field position for the Eagles, who since that opening drive have had 5 drives, 5 punts since. Only 1 first down, 4 3 and outs. So they've been shut down. Nick Foles, quick setup and throw. And that hit. No catch. Macklin was led too far, and Macklin got smoked.
Well, Jeremy Macklin, he saw Sensabaugh sitting there at the safety position, and he didn't want any part of it. I mean, he knew it was going to be a big-time collision had he have continued to go in and make a play on that ball. And he just said, no, thank you.
Now 2nd and 10. Foles lost it. A lot of hand checking, and a penalty flag comes flying. Actually 2. Riley Cooper, the intended target. Morris Claiborne, the rookie, was out there in coverage.
Yeah, Morris Claiborne, he's one-on-one with Riley Cooper, and you see the contact that's made there. And you know, Morris Claiborne coming off a game last week where he gave up some plays on the outside to Julio Jones and Roddy White.
24 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Looked to me at that first replay like Claiborne might have gotten Riley Cooper by his hair. It's a hold, either the hair or the jersey, and it's 5 yards and a first down. So 6 penalties already for Dallas, only 1 for Philadelphia. It was a big one. It eliminated a first down late in the first half.
Hey, Blake! Take your team! Here we go. We're 30.
McCoy gets it on first down. Sensabaugh forces him out. And a big play from LaShawn McCoy, 23 yards.
An excellent job up front. You're going to see the blocking here, but then Dennis Kelly, he's able to seal the backside. And even King Dunlap, he gets in the action, but they get the push to the play side. They get the seal on the backside, and it allows then LaShawn McCoy a tremendous hole. And that's some of what I was talking about. To try to protect this young quarterback, you have to play good defensively. They got a big stop, first possession to start this half, and get that running game going with LaShawn McCoy.
They stay with the ground game, and McCoy over the right side. A flag flies. It's a hold against Philadelphia.
Holding, number 65, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
They get the right tackle, King Dunlap.
Well, King Dunlap has a tendency to just get a little bit lazy, and at the end of this play, I mean, he's in position. He gets his arms out extended around him, and he grabs Anthony Spencer. I mean, he's acting as though he doesn't like the call, but, I mean, clearly he's got his arms wrapped around him.
So instead of a 2nd and 1 at the 25, it's 1st and 20 at the 44. Blitz off the edge. Bryce Brown picks it up. Going for it all. Wide open. Touchdown. Macklin.
Cowboys bring the blitz. Bryce Brown comes over and picks it up. Great job in protection, and that's why Foles has all kinds of time. Now they just run a simple seam route right down the middle with Jeremy Macklin, and they completely turn him loose. The middle safety, he bites underneath, and there's then nobody there to make a play on Macklin. But excellent job recognizing the blitz, blocking it up, and giving Foles time.
And again, it was the rookie Bryce Brown who picked up the blitzer. And then Nick Foles. 44 yards to Jeremy Macklin. And with that, Philadelphia back on top. How about Nick Foles? He's got a 44-yard touchdown pass. First career touchdown pass for the rookie. Taking over for Michael Vick out with a concussion. And that touchdown puts Philadelphia on top by 4. Dunbar will take it out. Ball's out. Picked up by Dallas. It was knocked out by Colt Anderson. And it was recovered, Troy, by Frampton.
Yeah, Frampton just happened to be in the right place at the right time. As soon as the ball comes out, Frampton is there to pick it up, and that would have been a huge swing for Philadelphia had they been able to get on that ball.
And now Eric Frampton is needing attention, which gives us a chance to bring in Jimmy Johnson from Los Angeles. There's a bit of a delay, but this has turned into a fun ball game here in Philadelphia, and you, sir, were a part of this great rivalry back when you started in the NFL in 1989. You and Buddy Ryan used to get into a little war of words over the years.
Well, we had some tough times with Buddy. Of course, they were so good. He used to kid me. He said, hey, we used to beat up on you all the time. I said, hey, Buddy, it's no big deal. Don't be proud of yourself, because those first couple of years, everybody beat up on us.
We have video. I know you saw this video earlier, which I'm sure brings it back fresh into your mind. And it's fun to watch, which will roll right now.
There's a $200 bounty on Luis Zendejas. A $500 bounty on Troy Aikman. I would have said something to Buddy, but he wouldn't stand on the field long enough. He put his big fat rear end into the dressing room.
I resent that. I've been on a diet. I lost a couple of pounds, and I thought I was looking good.
Oh, that's got Jimmy laughing. That's got Aikman laughing to my right.
I was only worth $300 more than Luis Zendejas.
Talk to Jimmy in a second. First down, as Eric Frampton saved a big turnover. Delayed handoff. Felix Jones has run well in this game, and he's out to the 21. I don't know, Jimmy, if you heard Troy say that he was worth only $300 more than Zendejas, your kicker, but over the years, Jimmy, you, I know, grew a lot of respect for Buddy Ryan, and he for you. That war of words kind of settled down.
Well, that was a great rivalry for us when we first came in the league. Of course, Bill Parcells had his Super Bowl team there in New York. He had Joe Gibbs at Washington. The NFC East was so strong, but the Philadelphia rivalry was as good as there was.
Felix Jones carries it for 2 yards. Meanwhile, what are you seeing in this game? It looks like Dallas has been able to run it a little better, and it's going to be interesting to see how this thing ends.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, Felix Jones looks quicker right now than I've seen all year long, and he's playing at his best. The concern, I have is, with Dallas protecting the passer, you thought the problems would have been on the Philadelphia side as far as protection, but their protection's been fine.
3rd down and 4. Extra men on the rush. Pass caught, but the tackle immediately. Vickers brought down by Ryans. A gain of just 1. It's 4th down.
Well, you see, Romo's able to get the ball out, but really a good job by Philadelphia. Even though they block it up, they're still able to keep Romo from getting comfortable within the pocket. But because of the 4-man rush, Joe, they're able to play coverage, and an outstanding job by D'Amico Ryans making the tackle after the ball was completed.
Second straight 3 and out for Dallas as Morgan punts it. Johnson waiting for it inside the 25. And brought down almost immediately by Alex Albright. Jimmy Johnson, thanks for your time, and enjoy the rest of this one watching it from back in Los Angeles.
All right, you guys have a great game.
All right, we're in the 3rd quarter. 4-point game. Nick Foles and the Eagles back on offense. Back on offense are the Eagles, now up by 4. Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator for Philadelphia, has got his defense playing better. Rob Ryan now trying to answer with his group, and this one is complete to Deshaun Jackson. Carr made a break on the ball, a gain of 8, and that was a dangerous throw. Good catch by Jackson.
Yeah, it was a ball that was thrown behind, and Deshaun Jackson is able to come back and make a play on that. And really an excellent catch on his part.
It's going to take for Nick Foles. Big efforts all around him in a game the Eagles need. On 2nd and 2. Pass is caught. Spencer is there as Selleck can't make it back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd down coming up. A loss of 1.
We'll go back and take a look at the job that Bryce Brown does when he came over and picked up the slot blitz by Orlando Scandrick, and then after Nick Foles makes the throw down the field to Jeremy Maclin for the touchdown, first guy down the field to congratulate him was Bryce Brown. And I've been impressed with what I've seen of Bryce Brown, not just in this game but other games as well. A guy who didn't play a lot in college, but a tremendously talented guy with size and speed.
3rd down and 3. Foles. Penalty flag flies. Claiborne was working on Jackson. And it's against Dallas.
Holding, number 32, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
That was away from the ball. They get Scandrick working on Maclin.
They're right there in the slot position, and you see the contact that's made as he's trying to get off the line of scrimmage. And think back to last week and that loss to the Atlanta Falcons. The plays that he failed to make a tackle on a key 3rd down, and then had a holding call on the 3rd down that kept that drive alive. A big penalty on that play.
Foles, good pocket around him, finds Maclin. Maclin brought down by Ernie Sims. A gain of 4. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Dallas with some injury news now. Kenyon Coleman has a triceps injury. He is one of the Cowboys' best run stoppers. He is out.
All right, Pam, thanks. So he's on the sideline. Marcus Spears is his backup. Second down and 6. Foles drops it off. McCoy. Nice tackle. The rookie Claiborne.
That was a great tackle. Yeah, that was a great tackle really by Morris Claiborne, because as we know, I mean, LaShawn McCoy in the open field is a tough guy to get on the ground, and yet Claiborne was able to do that.
This Dallas team has committed 7 penalties. 4 have given the Eagles 1st downs. And here's a big 3rd and 2 with the ball at the Philadelphia 48. The Eagles are only 1 for 6 on 3rd down so far.
Down, let's go, let's go. Here we go.
Foles floats it too far, but a penalty flag flies. Macklin interfered with by the rookie Claiborne. And that's a spot foul at the 31 of Dallas.
Pass interference, number 24, defense. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
It's on Morris Claiborne. You see the contact on, and Claiborne right now, I mean, I think he's really a good young player, but he is not playing with much confidence. Whereas on the other side, Nick Foles, you see his confidence grow and grow. I mean, he's really showing great poise in the pocket. I'm not real sure what DeMarcus Ware was doing here. He's got Clay Harbor who's coming across and trying to block him, but he had a free shot, you know, on Nick Foles that he had taken a straight line. So there was something within that formation that got DeMarcus Ware distracted and kept him from going on a straight rush at the quarterback.
It's a 20-yard penalty. That's now 5 first downs for Philadelphia by Dallas. Defensive penalties. Here's McCoy inside the 20.
Just really nice blocking up front by this offensive line. I mean, they have taken a beating for how bad they've been and how many sacks they've given up and the hits on the quarterback. I got to tell you, Joe, in this game, they've done a great job in protection. They have not yet given up a sack in this game, and they're creating some running lanes for LaShawn McCoy.
Second time inside the red zone for the Eagles. They're 1 for 1, and they're scoring a touchdown today. Here's McCoy down inside the 15 to the 13. Ratliff on the stop, a gain of 6.
Well, hey, I mean, we started this half and said that Nick Foles was going to have some help, and the guys around him were going to have to be able to make some plays. And best way to help a young quarterback is play good defense and run the football, and they have done that well here in the second half.
Second down and 4.
Hey, peek your team. Peek your team. Peek your team. Peek your team. Go.
They fake the handoff, find Macklin, and he is swallowed up. Skandrick was there, Spencer as well, no gain.
I am really impressed with what I have seen of Nick Foles, and I mean, you know, more from the standpoint of the composure that he's showing and the calls that he's making at the line of scrimmage. I mean, just watching him, you would never know that this is his first game action in his NFL career. I mean, he really is showing signs like he's been here and he's done it before, and it's been impressive to watch.
Playing because Michael Vick left in the first half with a concussion. Third down and 4. Just a 3-man rush. Foles slides, penalty flag flies, pass is caught. They're going to mark him at the 1, but there is a flag down. Demaris Johnson made the catch. He lunged forward to the 1, but we have to check the marker back near the line of scrimmage.
Illegal use of hands to the face, 65 offense, 10-yard penalty, still third down.
That's King Dunlap.
Well, anytime a helmet comes off, that's usually a pretty good indicator that there's something illegal that happened. You're going to see it right here on Jason Hatcher. He comes with the right hand to the headgear and rips his helmet off.
Instead of a 1st and goal at the 1, it's 3rd and 15 back at the 24. With hands to the face by Dunlap, who's out at right tackle for the first time since 2010. He started the last 2 games at left tackle. It's 3rd down and 15. Inside handoff to Brown. And Bryce Brown runs into the arms of Bruce Carter. Crowd doesn't like the call. It's 4th down. Very conservative. Just a 2-yard gain.
Well, they got Demetrius Bell, the left tackle. He's going to be the guy who tries to get across and be able to make a block on Bruce Carter. But Bruce Carter, he just is able to flow and then make the play. You can see that that's a tough block to ask Demetrius Bell to be able to make. Bruce Carter makes a good play.
And some confusion by the Eagles trying to line up for a field goal.
Team timeout. Philadelphia. 30-second timeout.
And it's King Dunlap who's coming back onto the field. He left. And he wasn't out there, so Philadelphia has to use a timeout. So this is right after the penalty. This penalty with hands to the face of Jason Hatcher. And then he left the field, and Andy Reid, Bobby April, the special teams coordinator, is screaming for Dunlap to get back out on the field to help protect in this field goal try.
Well, those are two big penalties on King Dunlap in this second half, when really the guy he got called for had no bearing on the outcome of the play. He got called on a hold after a big run, and then the one that would put it down on the 1-yard line.
40-yard try is perfect by Alex Henry. Has not missed since opening day. He's now made 14 straight. It's a 7-point game in Philadelphia. 17-10. Alex Henry's good from 40. It's a 7-point game. Now the Cowboys, who have done really nothing since that good first drive on their end. Only 4 first downs since the last 7 possessions. We'll get it back for the 3rd time in this half. And they'll start at their 20. Cowboys with a record of 3-5, trailing on the road in Philadelphia by 7. Happy Veterans Day to all of you watching the NFL on Fox. As the Cowboys, down by 7, start at the 20. They've been able to do nothing offensively of late. Romo's been under a lot of pressure. Witten is wrapped up and brought down by Kendricks. A loss of 1.
Really one of the big reasons why, Joe, is that Philadelphia has, they've been able to make plays like this. Unlike a week ago when they were not making tackles. We saw earlier in this game they were not making tackles, but boy, in this second half they sure have. Michael Kendricks, he comes across, he's able to make a play on Jason Witten. We saw it on the previous possession. Cowboys just have been unable to get anything going here in this second half.
2nd down and 11. Romo with protection finds Witten, and he is left wide open, got away from Ryans, and Romo dropped it in perfectly. The completion is good for a 1st down and 15 yards.
Yeah, zone coverage, and so they run the outside guy on a post route, and then that opens up that sideline throw because the linebacker only carries them so far, and so that's then the hole within that zone, and they're able to get Witten in it, and Romo drops it in nicely.
First down of the half. Another big day for Witten, 7 catches. Romo fires. There's number 8. And Witten is forward to the 40. A dangerous throw, but Witten went out to grab it. A gain of 6.
Well, the one thing you do see from Tony Romo is that when he starts needing to make a play or he wants to get the offense going, then it's number 82, Witten, is the guy who he starts looking for. I mean, that's the guy who he has his comfort level with and he trusts, and even in tight coverage, he believes that Witten's going to be able to make a play, and most of the time he does. 2nd down and 4. Dunbar gets it. Nowhere to go. You know, Troy, there was some talk about the Cowboys with their success in the no huddle, maybe going to some no huddle in this game. We haven't seen any up-tempo really from Jason Garrett so far today. No, and that may be something you see at some point, but 2nd and 4 and you run the ball and you don't pick up any yardage, I mean, it makes it tough. They've not had much success running here in this half, makes it hard to call it.
On 3rd down, Romo spins out, buys time, finds his man. That's Austin. What a play by Tony Romo. He avoided a sack at least 2 times, and he completes to Austin for 25.
Houdini. I mean, Fletcher Cox is right there to make a play, and he's unable to do it. They had a couple of opportunities, and this is what Tony Romo does so well. He extends the play and then is still able to keep his eyes down the field and pick up his receiver.
The slippery Tony Romo, and he is trying to buy time to throw, not run, and he threw it for 25 yards. Second longest play of the day for Dallas, and it came on 3rd down. Romo over the middle has got Des Bryant, and Bryant gets popped at the end of it by Ryans. Good for 8.5. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
Joe, Seahawks about to open up on the Jets. The rookie quarterback Russell Wilson not playing like one. Perfect strike. Sidney Rice makes it 21-7. Mark Sanchez, who had already thrown a red zone interception, promptly fumbled the ball. Yes, we have seen Tim Tebow, Joe, Troy, and Pam, but more questions than answers for the Jets right now.
All right, thanks, Patrick. 2nd down and 1. They fake the toss, hand to Vickers, and the fullback goes backward. He lost 2.
Well, they ran that play in the first half, and Vickers had a nice gain out of it. They have, as I said, they have not run the ball in the second half. And again, second and really favorable down in distance. They come back with something different, back to Vickers, and he loses yardage just like they did on the previous run.
Now 3rd down and 4 again. Romo going for Bryant. Pass is caught for the touchdown. Penalty flag on the play, but it appears it's against Philadelphia. Let's take another look and see if this one was indeed a clean catch.
Pass interference.
I don't think so.
On the defense. A penalty's declined. Touchdown.
Remember, the call here is pass interference, so even if this one is overturned, it's in the end zone or right near the end zone where the pass interference occurred, and it would set up 1st and goal. But that ball looked like it rolled.
That sure did, Joe. I mean, really good coverage by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and the ball, you know, to me certainly looks like it's moving, and that's not going to be a touchdown, but it will be a 1st down.
Will be reviewed.
So it's a scoring play. They will review it. It's not a hold. It was called pass interference, which would set up a 1st and goal situation even if it's overturned. But it sure looks like that ball rolled out of the right arm of Des Bryant.
It was really a great throw by Tony Romo. You know, because of where Des Bryant was, he's able to recognize where Cromartie is in coverage and give him at least a chance to make a play on that ball.
Mike Pereira is with us from Los Angeles. Mike, did you see that ball roll?
I do. I saw it roll. I think it's incomplete. Remember, they declined the pass interference. So if they come back now and make this an incomplete pass, then they can put back on the penalty, which would put the ball in the 1. But I think the ball rolls over after it hits the ground, even though he had some element of control before it hit the ground. But I think incomplete like you guys.
And so again, and you can see when the official threw the flag, the interference happened in the end zone, which would set it up at the 1. But heck, that's no sure bet. The Cowboys started the day tied for 26th in the red zone, scoring touchdowns only 44% of the time. Bryant's already had 1 taken away in that crazy game you and Tom Brenneman did against the Giants when his fingertip was on the end line. It would have given the Cowboys a big win. And this one looks like it's going to come off the board, but will still present the Cowboys, who would be trailing by 7 with a 1st and goal at the 1. Here comes the call.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands.
Wow. And this crowd, which was able to watch the replay, which they're showing in NFL stadiums this year, saw that ball roll. Andy Reid, I'm sure, can't believe it. And the touchdown stands.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. And the fact that our own Mike Pereira felt that the ball rolled as well, I'm a little surprised that that call stood. And now they're kicking the extra point to tie this thing up.
That came on 3rd down and 4. 2 big 3rd down conversions on that drive. That ties the game. And that's the final play of the 3rd quarter. Tied at 17. The touchdown stands. Fox NFL Sunday returns after this from your local Fox station. 3rd of the year for Des Bryant. A conversion for Dallas on 3rd and 4, 25 yards to Miles Austin. Then another conversion on 3rd and 4, 30 yards to Des Bryant for the game-tying touchdown. And out of the end zone, it's Boykin. As we start the 4th quarter, Boykin is out across the 20. This week, Fox College Saturday begins with a Pac-12 showdown between crosstown rivals as USC takes on UCLA. And the 12th ranked Sooners take on West Virginia. Coverage of Fox College football begins Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Pacific.
It's been a while since that UCLA-USC game's had some significance.
It's got your interest.
Yes, it does.
Starting at the 22, Nick Foles. The only healthy quarterback left for Philadelphia. Vick out with a concussion. Foles, that one's picked by Spencer, but a flag is down on the play as Spencer is going to take it in. A couple things happened. First of all, Spencer got the pick, but he was ruled down by contact. But look at this on the near sideline. This could be where the flag is for a hold of Riley Cooper by Claiborne.
Prior to the pass, holding number 24, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Been a tough couple of weeks for that young man right there, Morris Claiborne. And the thing about it is Nick Foles was not even looking to throw the ball to Riley Cooper. I mean, at no point did Nick Foles look in that direction. You're going to see as Foles drops back. I mean, he's working the middle of the field and really thinking, okay, I'm going to come right out and throw the swing route. And that's why he doesn't even see Anthony Spencer in coverage.
This is the 6th first down by penalty handed to Philadelphia. And it eliminates what would have been the game's first turnover.
130.
Hand off to McCoy. Not much room. And McCoy is brought down by Ernie Sims. Call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile now and get coverage of every NFL game. The Dallas defense was in the spotlight last week on that Sunday night game, and now the one lone survivor among the starting offensive line, Evan Mathis, is limping back to the huddle. He's the only guy still standing.
I don't anticipate they'll do anything that requires him to move now.
2nd down and 8. But this defense was in the spotlight trying to get off the field last week against Atlanta. It couldn't. Now Foles throws on the run, and it's incomplete. Out of bounds for Deshaun Jackson with Carr closing on it to bring up 3rd down.
We'll go back to Morris Claiborne last week in that game against Atlanta. As I said, you know, he gave up some plays in that game. They brought Michael Jenkins in and replaced him there for a few snaps, and they're not able to do that here in this one. I mean, Michael Jenkins is inactive for this game.
Cowboys traded up to get Claiborne 6th overall, brought in Brandon Carr with a 5-year, $55 million deal. Play clock is down to 3. 3rd down and 8. Spencer coming off the edge. Now Carter. Incomplete. It's 4th down. Heavy pursuit by Spencer and Carter. And with under 14 to play in the game, McBriar will punt it back to the Cowboys.
Now they're finally able to get some pressure then on Nick Foles. They even brought Morris Claiborne on a corner blitz on that play. But they're able to at least get Foles moving a little bit, and that's a pretty good stop there for Dallas defensively.
McBriar hits a good one. Harris from inside the 25. Has the far sideline. Has a blocker in front. And Dwayne Harris is going to go. Touchdown, no flags.
Matt McBriar was in a position to at least force him out of bounds. Yeah, I'm not sure how he didn't make a play.
78-yard return. And for the Eagles special teams, their first kick or punt return allowed for a touchdown in 71 games, and it is a big one.
Well, Matt McBriar had the sideline to work with, and he just had to continue to squeeze that. Now, I mean, obviously he doesn't get to work on those things in practice, but you'd think that there would have been a little better attempt than there was on that play.
That is the first kick return for a touchdown this season by the Dallas Cowboys. It belongs to Dwayne Harris. Down the sideline he went. All smiles for Jason Garrett with his Cowboys up by 7.
This game on Fox is sponsored by Microsoft Surface. By Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go. And by Burger King and the delicious new holiday sweets.
Cowboys have scored 2 touchdowns over the last 85 seconds, and it's Dwayne Harris who has a 78-yard punt return for the first touchdown of his 2-year career. Boykin will take a knee, and we go back to the punt return for the touchdown by Harris. Once he got past this initial wall, there wasn't much except the punter in his way.
Yeah, as a left return, they do a good job of giving him the sideline, but Matt McBriar, as I said, I mean, he was in a great position to be able to make a play and at least force Dwayne Harris out of bounds, and just wasn't really much of an effort there, but an excellent job by the special teams for Dallas making a play.
And so now the Cowboys have their biggest lead of the day, and Foles throws over the middle. He's got Selleck. And we'll see how the kid does in response to that touchdown. 14 yards and a first down.
Yeah, he gunned that one in. I was watching Nick Foles warm up before the game, and I didn't realize he was as big as he is, Joe. I mean, they've got him listed at about 240 pounds. I'm not so sure he's not bigger than that, but yeah, he's got a strong arm. And he's showing why the Eagles liked him so much.
They hand it off. That's McCoy getting to the edge and running into Claiborne. The rookie knocks him out of bounds after a 3-yard gain. Just a 1-score game. That does not make the Eagles one-dimensional. And for Philadelphia this season, they've averaged 29 rushing attempts per game, which is the second highest. 14 years Andy Reid has been head coach of the Eagles. And they have protected well today, whether it was Vic or Foles. No sacks. After the Saints got 7 last week. 2nd and 7. Foles sets up, throws behind, is picked off. Intercepted by Carr. That ball stayed in the air. And now Carr will coast into the end zone for the touchdown. His first interception as a Dallas Cowboy, his first touchdown as a Cowboy, and now the defense, which had only 3 picks all year, gets one from Brandon Carr, a pick 6.
It's a pretty good example right there of how important ball placement is in this league. We've seen a few of those on the slant route from Nick Foles, where the ball's thrown behind, and the Cowboys had safety help over the top. They were man underneath, so tight coverage, and a ball that's thrown behind like that one and in the air, you see what can happen.
And it's a 14-point game. It went off the hands of Deshaun Jackson, thrown behind him. Then it went off the thigh of Ernie Sims into the arms of Brandon Carr, and the Cowboys lead by 14. Cowboys have put up 21 points in the last 2 minutes 35 seconds. They get their first interception return for a touchdown since Terrence Newman did it last November. Almost a year to the date. He did it against the Bills. Here's Boykin. Out to the 21. And we go back to the extra point after that last touchdown and watch the holder, Brian Moorman, and Cedric Thornton comes in, big number 72, and plows into the Dallas punter, who's the holder for the kicks. So some of the frustration on the part of the Eagles. 3-5. They've lost 4 in a row. No Andy Reid team in his 14 years has ever lost 5 straight in a season.
Brian Moorman will be in the training room getting treatment this week.
Starting at the 21. Josh Brent came across early. That's 5.
Crossman, number 92, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
5 offside penalties against the Dallas Cowboys in this game.
Though you had mentioned on the last possession that with it being a 7-point game, they didn't have to abandon the run and strictly throw it. Now at 14 points down with just over 12 minutes to play, I mean, they still got to maintain a little balance and run the ball some, but certainly more urgency now, and it's going to put more of an emphasis on this offensive line in protection.
Now on first down, the handoff is to Bryce Brown. And Brown no gain. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, with Alex Smith still out due to a concussion, Colin Kaepernick at quarterback for the Niners trying to lead a comeback against the Rams. 7 yards, he dives, they reviewed it, called it a touchdown, and right now it's 17-14, Rams trying to hold on halfway through the fourth quarter. Joe Troy and Pan.
Surprising score as the Rams lead by 3 coming out of their bye week. On second down, pass caught by Harbor, and the tight end's got a first down out at the 36. Still plenty of time if the Eagles can get something going offensively behind Nick Foles.
Yeah, you can see they're huddling really close to the ball, and so they're trying to get the plays called as quickly as possible and get to the line. And you wonder how much work Nick Foles has had here since the season began in some of the no-huddle situations.
130. Easy. 3-2 scat. 3-2 scat. Sword.
On first down, pass is, wow, what a catch by Macklin. That one behind Jeremy Macklin. He's got 11 yards with a one-handed catch.
Yeah, he was expecting that ball on the other side of him. I mean, he's running to the sideline, and for him, that was really a great catch by Macklin.
So a first down at the 47. Foles finds Cooper. Penalty flag is down as Victor Butler had his helmet ripped off, and it's against Philadelphia.
Illegal use of hands to the face, 65 offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's another one on King Dunlap for hands to the face.
Well, here he is. He's at right tackle, and he's arguing with the call, and we'll take a look. And the helmet comes off. One of the problems for King Dunlap is he's 6'9", and so he tends to play really high. I mean, he doesn't bend well, and so he's typically playing higher than the guy he's trying to block. And I hate to admit it, Dunlap, but that was hands to the face. And each time he's been called for a penalty, it's been clear that the right calls have been made.
So first down and 20. Pass is dropped. Skandrick had it as he worked in front of Macklin. And Skandrick almost had the second interception for this defense, which came in with only 3.
You see, as Macklin's trying to come out of the route, he felt that he was held at the top of it, and there definitely was contact made. I think Orlando Skandrick might have gotten away with one.
Now second down and 20.
Hey, you override. Get the override. Stay there. Stay there. 130. 130.
Foles for McCoy, and he gets knocked down by Skandrick, and that looked painful. A loss of 4, and McCoy somehow able to get back up.
Yeah, they sniffed this out pretty good. Orlando Skandrick, who's keying into the backfield, I mean, he sees the screen coming, and so as soon as McCoy makes the catch and turns around, I mean, that's a tough blow right there, low, and McCoy's really fortunate that he didn't have a pretty significant injury.
Brings up 3rd down and 24. 4-man rush. Foles got rid of it. Pass is caught. That's the tight end, Clay Harbor. And Harbor is out just to the 41. It's 4th down, a gain of just 8. Under 9 to play, and the Cowboys leading by 14 points, about to get it back. And time is running out on the Philadelphia Eagles in this game, and time may very well be running out on the tenure of Andy Reid here in Philadelphia. McBriar to punt. Harris, who has his highlight for the year, lets it go over his head into the end zone, and the Cowboys up by 14 will start at their 20. Trying to move to 4-5 here in Philadelphia.
Is sponsored by Chevrolet. From kickoff to the last yard, Chevy runs deep.
Cowboys will take over at their 20, up by 14 points. Hand off to Felix Jones. And a penalty flag comes in at the very end of the play. Cowboys have only 82 yards of offense in this second half, but 21 points. A defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown by Dwayne Harris.
Hands to the face, 98 defense. 5 yards from the end of the play, 1st down.
They get Mike Patterson, who is in his 2nd game back, for that on Doug Free. So it moves the ball out across the 25-yard line. Still haven't. Now they have spotted the football at the 26. It's a 1st down, 1st and 10. More from Felix Jones. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, we showed you the Colin Kaepernick touchdown. After that, the Rams fumbled it, and on the first play after that, Frank Gore took it in from 20 yards out. 17 seconds apart, the Niners get 2 scores and have their first lead of the game, 21-17 over St. Louis. Go Troy and Pan.
So getting all they can handle, and yet trying to move their record to 7-2. Seattle, looks like they're on their way to 6-4. The NFC West, led by the 49ers. Top-seeded team a year ago is a false start.
False start, number 89, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Against John Phillips. This Wednesday on Fox, the X Factor is all new live. The judges have had their share of disagreements about the top 12. But your opinion is the only one that matters. Your vote decides their fate. The X Factor, true talent, raw reality. This Wednesday and Thursday, only on Fox. 2nd down and 12 after the false start. Toss to Jones, running left. Jones is wrapped up by Darryl Tapp after a gain of 3.
I think now for Philadelphia, I mean, if they're going to be able to make any kind of charge and have a chance, this is a critical third down for them defensively, and being able to make a stop and get off the field and see what they can do offensively and get into the no huddle. But Todd Bowles, see what he decides to do. You're going to come after Romo and get pressure or try to play coverage.
It's 3rd down and 9. Cowboys leading by 14. And a timeout taken by Dallas.
First team timeout, Dallas.
Each side with 2 timeouts remaining. Just over 6 to play. Cowboys will talk about the 3rd down. We'll have it when we come back. Some big play touchdowns this half for Dallas. Des Bryant, 30-yard touchdown reception. Wayne Harris, a 78-yard punt return for a touchdown. And then Brandon Carr, 47 yards on an interception return for a touchdown. And it's 3rd down and 9 for Dallas. After taking their first time out, they toss to Felix Jones running right. Jones is wrapped up at the 35, a yard shy of 1st down. It's 4th down.
So the Cowboys decide rather than throw it and stop the clock, they're just going to run it and rely on their defense. Defense has been playing pretty good, and Felix Jones almost was able to pick up the 1st down.
Ryan Mormon to punt. Morris Johnson waiting for it for the Eagles. Philadelphia will take over with under 5.5 to go. And
False start, number 89, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
some more penalties for the Dallas Cowboys. That's John Phillips, guilty of a false start that stops the clock with 5:33 to go. Mormon hits it. And a fair catch by Johnson at the 23-yard line. The situation was set out, Troy, by Jeffrey Lurie, who is in his 18th year as the owner here with the Philadelphia Eagles after that 8-8 finish last year. He said this team has to show substantial improvement in 2012. Here they are now facing their 5th straight loss, and the situation with Andy Reid is getting more dire by the minute here.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, we knew coming into this game that whoever lost was probably, playing for them next season. It's unlikely that they're going to be able to put anything together that allows them to make the playoffs. And he was put on notice coming into this season. It's unlikely he'll return, but he won't be unemployed long if he chooses to go on and coach somewhere else.
Foles takes over and throws out of the reach of Riley Cooper. To me, it comes down to there are a couple things. First of all, Andy Reid isn't the only problem with the Philadelphia Eagles here in 2012. They've been racked by injuries. They don't have the depth to really recover from those injuries. But if this is his final year and his 14th season as the head coach here in Philadelphia, to me, the main failure here will be the inability to replace the late Jim Johnson as defensive coordinator. Here's Foles in trouble, able to buy some time, chased by Spencer, throws it up for grabs, and it's somehow caught for a first down by Macklin. And Skandrick is either hurt or can't believe he didn't come down with a pick. It looks like he's hurt.
Yeah, it looks like he's hurt at the end of the play, and Foles, as you said, I mean, he throws it up, Spencer takes him to the ground. And somehow that ball then is caught by Jeremy Macklin. Skandrick came in and was unable to make a play on it, but Joe, he's still on the turf.
So they take a look at Skandrick. We'll take a break. 5:05 left here in Philadelphia. Skandrick is able to limp off the field. We'll see if his ankle doesn't get trapped underneath as Macklin came down. Something in the lower leg area for Orlando Skandrick. It's a first down for Philadelphia, 13-yard completion to Macklin. And it brings up a first down at the 37. Jim Johnson, who was one of our favorites, longtime defensive coordinator here, brought here in '99 by Andy Reid when he got hired. To Andy Reid's credit, he didn't really know Jim Johnson before he hired him. He didn't hire somebody to run the defense. He wanted somebody who had impressed him when he was on the coaching staff in Green Bay scheming against Brett Favre. That man was Jim Johnson, and his years here with Brian Dawkins at safety and Trotter at middle linebacker and the group up front, he just has become irreplaceable here in the last 3 years for Andy Reid.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, they were unable to really get the defense playing the way they did under Jim Johnson. I think the other thing, too, Joe, is going back to last season when they picked up all those free agents and Nnamdi Asomugha and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, Colin Jenkins, and, you know, the expectations certainly grew from that. But that was really out of the norm for what the Eagles were really all about. I mean, they were always great at drafting players and bringing in good talent.
Foles on first down, completes for a first down to midfield. Pass is caught by Macklin, who's become a favorite target for Nick Foles in his first real game action, good for 13 again. It's a two-score game as Foles hands off to McCoy, running right, and McCoy is knocked down at the 40. They're going to mark him just shy of a first down. He got 9. Sensible on the tackle.
Foles doing a good job at the line of directing it and getting these plays off. I mean, he looks very comfortable in this no huddle.
Second down and 1. Over the middle, pass is caught. That's a first down. That is Macklin. And Macklin has made 3 catches in a row, good for 7.
Cowboys are able to substitute. They bring an entirely new wave of pass rushers onto the field.
Handoff is to McCoy. McCoy tripped up, and it was Carter who got his feet before a big gain, a gain of 6. 3.5 to go. Each side with 2 timeouts remaining as Spencer comes back in. On second down and 4. Pass is too high. He had Macklin, who had found a hole in the defense, but the throw was too high. It's third down. We look ahead to next week, week 11, and our matchups. Troy, Pam, and I will be in Detroit for the Packers and Lions, or the Eagles are at the Redskins, Cardinals and Falcons, Bucks and Panthers. Later on, the Saints, who are back in it. A game under 500. They won today. They knocked off the previously undefeated Atlanta Falcons. They're in Oakland. There's the day for Macklin. Foles. Down he goes. First sack of the day. It belongs to Butler. That's his second sack of the season. And it's fourth down.
Victor Butler, he's on the outside. He comes around, and Foles just doesn't feel his presence and is able to make the play. And he had pretty good protection there in the middle. But clearly the Eagles now here at fourth down, they've got to be able to get at least this first down to extend this game.
First sack against this Eagles offensive line. Fourth down and 9. Foles buys some time, finds a wide open Demaryius Johnson. Johnson is going to be down at the 1. And this game isn't over yet.
And now Brandon Carr was on the ground, and he's getting himself up now, but he looks like he's banged up, Joe. You see him, he's in coverage, and the way he fell down when Johnson was coming out of that route, it looked like he might have rolled on his ankle. Of course, Skandrick is out, and Michael Jenkins is inactive.
This is taking too long, trying to get up to the line of scrimmage. Clock running. Just getting it away before the 2-minute warning, and the pass out of the back of the end zone. The penalty flag is on the ground on the near side, and it's another offside against Dallas.
Offside, number 24, defense, lined up in the neutral zone, half the distance to the goal, still first down.
Second one on Claiborne in this game. We're at the 2-minute warning. This completion to Johnson sets it up for the Eagles to try and make it a one-score game. 1:57 left. The two head coaches, so much conversation about both of them coming into this game. 3-5 meeting 3-5. Cowboys leading by 14 points, 1:57 left. Handoff is to the fullback Havili, and Stanley Havili is in for the touchdown. And with the extra point to come, this will be a 7-point game if Henry hits it. And then we'll have the onside kick attempt.
Just a straight handoff to Havili right up the middle, and he's able to get it. The key play, of course, being the play to Johnson that got them down to the 1-yard line.
First career touchdown for Havili. And this one hits the upright. It's still a one-score game, but a one-score game with a 2-point conversion that will need to be hit as Henry misses his first extra point of the season. Just a yank.
Wow. The snap was good, hold was good. Just absolutely pulled it.
8-point game. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, after going for a fake punt and converting it on 4th and 8, the Rams make it pay off. Sam Bradford, Austin Pettis hook up for the 2-yard score. Less than a minute to go. They lead it in San Francisco, 24-21. Wow. Joe, Troy, and Pam?
All right, so there's the NFC West. For the 49ers at 6-2. Seattle, they're winners today, 6-4. The rest of the division is the Rams try to get their 4th win under first-year head coach, at least in St. Louis, longtime NFL head coach Jeff Fisher.
Things tighten up there in the West. That's for sure. Well, we'll see what happens now here on the onside kick attempt, and whether Henry can get a little better attempt at this than he did that extra point.
It's an 8-point game. Philadelphia with 2 timeouts left. They had to take one on a field goal try when King Dunlap left the field. Up into the air and right into the arms of a Dallas Cowboy, and it's Witten. They're waiting for it. Jason Witten is there, and now with just 2 timeouts remaining, the Dallas Cowboys will take over, leading by 8. Our football coverage does not end when the games are over. Stick around for the OT. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy have extended highlights, analysis, interviews, and a look ahead to next week's action. It's America's #1 post-game show, the OT, presented by Lowe's, tonight right after the game on Fox.
Move, move, move.
Handoff is to Felix Jones, and Jones is forward for a yard. Philadelphia now uses one of their 2 remaining timeouts. We'll look back. Great start for Philadelphia as Vic took him down the field, but Vic suffered a concussion. He had to leave. Nick Foles took over and completed a 44-yard touchdown pass to Jeremy Maclin, but then 3 quick scores. One on offense to Des Bryant, a punt return by Dwayne Harris, and this interception returned for a touchdown by Brandon Carr. And with that, 2 minutes 35 seconds. It's all it took for 3 touchdowns. And what was a 2-touchdown lead, now it's an 8-point game here in Philadelphia, 2nd and 8.
Yep. You good over there, Doug? Yep. Good? Good. 180! Where's the...
Handoff is to Jones. Covering up the football. 1:44 remaining, and now the Eagles are out of timeouts.
Yeah, now there's a decision to be made for Jason Garrett, you know, as the play caller, as to what exactly do you do here? Do you run it and then run the clock down as much as you can, in all likelihood not picking up the first down and then punting it back, or do you try to pick up the first down here and then run out the clock and win the game? You know, and
to me, I think you have to look at it and what you're dealing with on the other side. And on the other side, as a rookie quarterback, I think you run it, you take the time off the clock, and you make Nick Foles try to take it down the field with no timeouts, needing a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think, though, also with a guy like Tony Romo, that you can say that, well, we'll call something and see if we can maybe have a play where we can pick up the first down. If it's not there, then either don't throw it or make sure you throw something high percentage where we can at least keep the clock running. But based on this and this formation, they're going to run the ball.
Handoff to Jones. He spins forward for a positive play. It's 4th down, and the clock will wind down under a minute left. The Cowboys, if they choose, can let it get down to 1 second, which would be just under a minute. Call a timeout, punt it back, and have their defense try and stop Nick Foles. Again, needing to get down the field into the end zone and then a 2-point conversion to tie. The schedule's very good for Jason Garrett's club coming out of here. Their first 8 games, they had the toughest schedule across the NFL with regard to current records. The last 8 games, the second easiest. Only the Steelers are on there as a club that's over 500 the rest of the way, and that happens in the middle of December. So talking to Romo before the game, he said if we can get a win here today, we can get on a little roll. They have Cleveland and then a Thanksgiving date with Washington the next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, it shapes up. I mean, hey, some of these teams may be looking at Dallas like they've got an easy game coming up too. I mean, it's not, you know, they've got to start winning some games, but 5 of the last 7 at home in Dallas is huge.
Mormon to punt. Deshaun Jackson is waiting for it, and Mormon wisely just drills it out of bounds. They're going to mark it at the 11. So needing to go 89 yards in under a minute with no timeouts, and even then the job's not finished to tie the game. They'll need a 2-point conversion. The Eagles have not attempted a 2-point conversion this season. Have you been impressed, though, overall body of work by Nick Foles?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, you look at the numbers there, and you know, hey, for a guy who hasn't played since the preseason and to come in as a rookie and you know, in a game that's really a must-win game, and now to be put in this situation, you know, some balls have gotten away from the interception, returned for a touchdown, but I like what I've seen of him in his first outing.
The ball wasn't snapped. That'll be a false start.
False start, 77, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Meanwhile, Philadelphia, they're staring at their 5th consecutive loss after a 3-1 start. And they are at Washington next, at home against Carolina. A game that says at Philadelphia should say at Dallas. Then at Tampa Bay. Foles trying to get out of the end zone. Ball is out. Recovered by Dallas. Touchdown. Hatcher is there, and he will get credit. Anthony Spencer knocked it out, and it's the 2nd defensive touchdown of the day for the Dallas Cowboys.
DeMarcus Ware, he rushes up the field, and then he senses Foles leaving the pocket. Foles never even sees that DeMarcus is there, and then Anthony Spencer is also closing on him. The ball comes out. Tough situation on the quarterback, backed up, limited time on the clock, no timeouts, just trying to make something happen and unable to maintain possession of the ball.
So a defensive touchdown for Brandon Carr, and now as it's forced by Anthony Spencer, a defensive touchdown for Jason Hatcher. And the extra point makes it a 15-point game. Let's go back to Kurt. Another game break.
Well, the San Francisco 49ers have tied it. David Akers' 33-yard field goal evens it at 24. 3 ticks left. Looks like they're going to overtime. When your game is done, we'll take you to the finish in San Francisco, regardless of how it's going. 24-24. Rams and Niners right now. Joe, Troy, and Pam?
All right, meanwhile today, while you look at Tony Romo, the real story, Troy, in this second half has been the defense and special teams. Cowboys had no touchdowns from their defense or their special teams this season. They have 3 in the fourth quarter.
I know the defense has made plays, and really all season long this Cowboys defense has played well enough to win. I mean, there's been some lapses. There's been times when they haven't made a stop when they've needed to, but for the most part, that defense has played awfully well for the Cowboys. Now, I mean, as it relates to this game, it's nice, but you don't really, I mean, the Eagles, this is what's been their downfall throughout this season. I mean, they've just been unable to hang on to the ball. They've had turnovers that have cost them. It cost them again in this one. And then, of course, as you said, the special teams play. I thought Philadelphia defensively, especially coming out in the second half, I thought they did some really nice things and gave their team a chance to win, but it was the turnovers and the special teams that did them in.
2 more for Philadelphia. They have 21 giveaways this season. Meanwhile, for Dallas, it's back-to-back turnover-free games for Tony Romo. This one hits Havili in the face mask, and he's just able to get back on top of it. 52 seconds left here in Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys are on their way to a 4-5 record, and remember, we talked about it at the beginning. The Giants lost today. They've lost 2 straight. They've got 4 losses going into a bye week. So the NFC East is far from over, despite all the doomsday predictions for both these clubs during this week.
Yeah, more of a case of the Giants kind of falling back to the pack. I mean, after their big win in Dallas, they created some separation, only to then lose the next 2.
Here's Cooper out on the outside. Carter shoves him out of bounds. Cooper has a touchdown today, his first of the year. Those were the first points of the day, a one-handed catch from a yard out. That one good for 22 yards. 36 seconds left. Foles finds Jackson. Deshaun Jackson hops out of bounds just inside the 40. 7 yards for Jackson. But you can just see the frustration. The body language of these Eagles and the fans. There aren't many left in the seats here in Philadelphia. And under Andy Reid, the first 5-game losing streak. Jackson's got a first down, and he slides forward. Clock continues to wind. 8 yards and a first down. Bonus coverage of the Rams and 49ers. Good game, obviously, as they are headed to overtime in San Francisco. As the 49ers able to get down the field and tie that game before the end of regulation.
Well, if nothing else, right here, this is good experience for Nick Foles, just to be put in this situation and see how he reacts. And we don't know exactly what the status is of Michael Vick going forward, and I don't know that it really much matters, because with this loss, I mean, as we said, they're essentially playing for next year, and I don't anticipate that Michael Vick's going to be back in Philadelphia either. I mean, all the speculation as to what this means to Andy Reid, but I can see where Nick Foles is going to be the starter here on out.
Here's a little flip back to McCoy after the catch by Deshaun Jackson. Playground time as the clock will expire. This is all a waste of time. And on top of it, Macklin gets one more hit. And the crowd lets the Eagles have it as Kyle Wilber makes that last stop. Andy Reid is involved with his first 5-game losing streak in his 14 years in Philadelphia. Cowboys get a win. They're 4-5. Take a break, come back after this.